If you've ever think about utilizing intermittent fasting to lose fat, this is going to be a super useful video for you. I get a lot of questions about people saying, hey, I'm trying to lose the fat. I've been taught about intermittent fasting. Should I do it? Should I don't do it? So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to break down for you when should you use intermittent fasting, when is it going to be beneficial for you, and when is it only going to be a distraction in your fat loss journey. Now, first of all, what is intermittent fasting? So intermittent fasting would be to reducing the window of time in which you actually eat during the day. And what this means is that on a normal day, on a normal schedule, a normal person would say, let's say that you wake up at 6 a.m., okay, you have breakfast around 7 a.m., okay, so 7 a.m., you have breakfast, that's going to be the first time that you eat. Then you're going to have a snack in the morning, then you're going to eat at 12, then you're going to have a snack in the afternoon, maybe dinner at 6, and then maybe a late night snack around 8 to 9 p.m., right? So we're putting basically around here, let's say 9 p.m. All this time, you are eating. And not only that, because intermittent fasting also takes digestion into consideration, so you're gonna have an extra 2 hours here of time when your body is full of food or is always eating. So what intermittent fasting is trying to do is trying to make this window bigger so your body has more time that is running with no food on your system, okay? When we don't have any food coming in or any digestion going. What this is gonna do, this is gonna allow us to reduce the glycemic index in our blood so we can get back to sugar. Now, this has a lot of health benefits, but when it comes to fat loss, it gets used as a strategy for you to control what you eat. And let me explain you that. If you are reducing the amount of times that you eat, or you're reducing the window of eating time that you have, you're gonna reduce the chances of you going over your calories. Which means that if I have 18 hours, I would say 16 hours, okay? If I have 16 hours of time to eat, most likely you're gonna eat way more food than if you only have 8 hours to eat, right? If you eat 5 times and you don't control it, it's gonna be way easier for you to eat more food than if you eat 3 times. Now, when it comes to losing fat, at the end of the day, it's gonna come down to, are you spending more calories than the calories that are coming in? And this is why I like to utilize intermittent fasting as a strategy to reduce the amount of calories that you're eating per day. Now, this is the various situations where you should use intermittent fasting to lose fat. The first situation is that schedule-wise, okay? If you have a schedule that makes it hard to eat for long periods of time during the day, maybe you have to get up and start working, maybe you are working until late at night and you don't have time to eat, that's when intermittent fasting is going to come in handy, because it's going to allow you to make your meal schedule around your normal schedule. The second situation where I see people can make a lot of the intermittent fasting will be when, there's some people out there, you might be one of these, who in the mornings they just don't have any hunger, or late at night they just don't have any hunger. That is when you can use this, okay? If you don't feel like eating in the morning, I don't know anyone who doesn't feel like eating on the night, but it might be, right? But I see a lot of people who don't feel like eating in the morning. It's just not feeling well for them. So you can utilize intermittent fasting in that sense. And then the third, and this is what I follow myself, and that's why I use intermittent fasting when I'm trying to cut, it's when it's hard for you to stop eating. So for me, I like to eat. I love to eat, and whenever I'm sitting down eating, I'm taking lunch or eating dinner, it's hard for me to stop. Okay, so if I have to do smaller meals, it's gonna be super hard for me, and most likely I'm gonna end up cheating. I'm gonna end up going over my calories, going over the things that I'm supposed to eat. That's why I like to, when I'm cutting and I need to be on a calorie deficit, I like to restrict the times that I eat. So instead of eating 3, 4, 5, 6 times per day, I eat only 2 to 3 times per day. Okay, so I normally just will jump breakfast and take all the calories and protein and macros that I would eat on the breakfast and put it, split them between the lunch and dinner and the snack, because that way it's gonna be an easier way for me to control what I eat. So at the end of the day, intermittent fasting comes down to being a strategy that can be super handy for you if you are in one of these 3 situations. But other than that, it's just gonna be making things more complicated. So my advice to you is, if you can justify intermittent fasting with one of these 3, by all means, go for it, utilize it, you're gonna lose the fat. But if you cannot justify with them, just don't overcomplicate things. Keep your normal meal schedule and just make sure that you're eating on a calorie deficit and moving enough. And that's what's really, really gonna make you lose the fat. Because even on these 3 situations right here, intermittent fasting is not making you lose more fat. What is making you lose more fat is that you are being on a calorie deficit. It's just that your schedule, or because you don't feel like eating, or because it's hard for you to stop eating, those are the things that are gonna allow you to readjust the calories through the day. And instead of having 4 or 5 meals, you're gonna have 2 or 3 meals, but it's gonna be the same numbers. So at the end of the day, it's only going to be strategy. So hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully that allows you to realize if you fall into these categories or not, and if you should be using intermittent fasting or not. Let me know in the comments if that helped. Hopefully it does. Talk to you in a bit.